Now guys, I don't expect you to watch every single one of our videos, which is why we make this video right here. It is the cliff notes to the big changes that are coming tomorrow and for season 15. By the way, the reveal for Witch Queen will be happening tomorrow about an hour before resets, although there's like a pre-period before then. Regardless, we're gonna be live first thing in the morning. Come by our Twitch, watch us. We'll be reacting to everything live, and hopefully it's gonna be good stuff. With that being said though, let's talk about these things that are gonna be different starting tomorrow, as these will be the most noticeable changes. So first up, Trials of Osiris is getting a complete rework. Now, we're supposed to be getting something in a trailer tomorrow, showing whatever this rework is. But essentially, we're supposed to be getting trial ranks. There's supposed to be a change to Trials matchmaking, a potential solo playlist within Trials. It's crazy, guys. I really hope the changes that are coming to Trials this season is going to incentivize a lot of players, especially my PvE guys, to give it a go. Next big change, separation of melee and uncharged melee attacks. Now, I know this may be a small thing to you, but guys, as someone who has struggled with not being able to throw a knife at point blank range, this separation of inputs will allow me to utilize my charged melee when I want to utilize it. And this is something that everyone's going to benefit from, regardless of whatever class you play or whatever input you play. More options in your inputs will allow more builds, especially my melee based builds, to be more easily utilized. Next up, we have finally the removal of the traction mod and additional controller sensitivity options. This is something that a lot of controller players have been asking for a very long time. And you see, that's been the advantage to PC players. We don't need traction. We don't need that increase in turn radius, but controller players do. And now that it's about to be baked in for all controller players without having to require a mod, this opens up your mod slots for other things. And the controller sensitivity options to go beyond 10 all the way up to 20, and the ability to change your ADS sensitivity modifier so that it slows up when you aim down sights. This is the kind of customization that controller players needed in order to have a more level playing field with PC players. Now, for my controller players that are about to get carried away with rocking 2 scavenger mods, look out. Next big change, scavenger mods will no longer stack. Yep, Bungie is finally coming after special ammo. Now, it's not the end of the world, because they're actually going to be giving us a new mod called Holster. This will actually allow our weapons to auto reload over time for our stowed weapons. Think of like a slow moving auto loading holster, which, depending on how good this mod actually is, it may be a mod you never take off next season. Which takes us to our next big change. Crossplay is coming this season. Now, it's not going to be launching at the beginning of season 15, but at some point during the season of the loss, we should be getting crossplay, which is fantastic. And I know a lot of my controller players don't want to play with PC players, and understand it's completely opt-in. You don't have to. For the most part, PC players will match other PC players. Console players will match other console players. And only when you opt in will you actually be playing cross-platform. But I want to just tell you, controller players, for my guys that are like, nope, never gonna do it, never gonna play with PC guys, I urge you to give it a go. Give it a try. Just see where you sit, and it may surprise you. You may get into a couple PC lobbies and absolutely rock all those players. So don't knock it until you try it. Which brings us to our next big change. A lot of the reason why controller players stated they didn't want to play cross-play is because of cheaters. Well, Bungie actually just came out recently and stated that Battle Eye, which is the anti-cheat we talked about last week, is now going to be available and at work in Destiny 2 starting next season. Now, Battle Eye won't be perfect at first, and it probably won't ever really be perfect ever, but it's a hell of a lot better than what we've been seeing. And eventually, after a few weeks of doing the manual ban process, when Bungie is comfortable with Battle Eye, they are going to finally start letting this anti-cheat ban people automatically. This is incredible, because currently right now, Bungie manually vets every single report. This is going to be the first time that the anti-cheat is going to be able to run and gun and ban as many people as it comes across. And considering the cheats we've seen inside of Destiny, I think that's going to be a lot of people. Next big change on the list. This is something my PvE players will weep over, and I am too. Warmind cells are getting a significant nerf. Fellas, it's a sad day to see these mini nukes finally be dealt in. We knew it was coming. We knew how powerful Warmind cells actually are. So many builds we've played with. They've personally kept me alive in some of the hardest PvE content and day 1 raids. But Bungie felt like they were too powerful. Hence the nerfs that you see right there in front of you, which are pretty major. Will Warmind cells be utilized next season? I think there is still some potential, but we're definitely going to change our playstyle with them. It won't be the explosive, clear the room out, solar splash combos that we've grown used to. Which takes us to the next change, and I'm mean a huge one. Guys, major light subclass changes are coming. Now, this is not the overhaul that I think some players wanted, because some players just wanted us to completely abandon the light-based system, convert everything in our light subclasses to darkness-based subclasses. This is something right under that. The changes that are coming to Titans, Hunters, and Warlocks are going to change the meta completely, more than any weapon or armor buff that you have seen in any of the other TWAPs. These changes to the subclasses themselves. You're going to see people rocking Arc Strider. You're going to see people rocking Rally Barricades. Bottom Tree Dawnblade is about to be meta. So just know these light subclasses, all of these that you see on the screen here in front of you, every single one of these, including the stasis ones, are also going to be receiving some change starting in the new season. Speaking of changes, this brings us to our next big one. We're getting a complete fusion rifle rework. You've got entire archetypes completely changing, and Chris Proctor even confirmed a few other numbers where things like high impact fusion rifles, even though they are getting a nerf on paper, they're simultaneously kind of getting a buff because they're now going to be able to get a kill within 3 bolts. Precisions like Plug 1 are also looking really good, and overall, fusion rifles, I feel like starting next season, are going to be much more present inside of Crucible and elsewhere, which takes us to our favorite fusion rifle of all. Our next big change, guys, Vex Mythic class is looking to be one of the most meta weapons next season. Now, we assumed that Vex Mythic class was going to get a buff. We heard it in the podcast with Chris Proctor and Kevin Giannis. They didn't like that Vex Mythic class didn't ship as hot as they wanted it to, so they decided to make it extra hot by giving it a 40% increase in PvE damage. On top of that, the rate of fire has been increased. Its linear fusion rifle mode charge rate has also been decreased, allowing it for quick charges, and you no longer lose overcharged stacks when you stow Vex Mythic class. Overall, guys, considering the artifact mods we're getting next season, which are coming to fusion rifles and linear fusion rifles, Vex Mythic class is about to become a meta option for both PvE and PvP, which brings us to our next big change. Guys, if you're wondering what weapon you're going to be rocking with Vex Mythic class, look no further than the new upcoming Ritual Rocket Launcher that happens to roll with Explosive Light. Explosive Light, guys, is a perk found only on Wendigo. Now, Wendigo has since been sunset, which saddened many of us. This is a perk that gave us 50% increase in damage when picking up an Orb of Light. This is going to apply to a rocket launcher. I would argue and say this is even better than Wendigo, because rocket launchers, considering the rocket launcher buff we got a few seasons back, do a hell of a lot of damage. Now they're going to be doing 50% more damage. So yeah, if you're wondering what weapon you're going to be utilizing alongside Vex Mythic class, this is the rocket launcher for you. Moving on though, speaking of ritual stuff, let's talk about ritual reputation systems, our core playlists. This is another big change, guys, coming to Lord Shaxx, the Drifter, and Zavala. Now it will be known only as the Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard ranks. The names Infamy and Valor will now be retired. On top of that, the ranking systems will now all have similar progression times. So for my folks complaining about Gambit taking way too long, which it does, now things are going to be on a more level playing field, and progression times should be just slightly faster than what we've witnessed from Valor. Now for my PvE guys, a big change coming next season is actually going to be hitting our Grandmaster Nightfalls. You see guys, about 5 to 6 weeks within the season, I think it's somewhere around that time frame, Grandmaster Nightfalls become available. And originally Bungie would just release one of those at a time. Now though, day 1, Bungie's going to release all Grandmasters at the exact same time. This means you can get Conqueror or Gilded Conqueror on day 1. However, each Grandmaster you complete on that node becomes locked out. And eventually, the only Nightfalls available are the ones you haven't completed yet or the one that's in rotation that week. You see guys, Bungie did this purposely to keep players from farming just one specific Nightfall at the end of the season when they would normally give us the drop down node for all Grandmaster Nightfalls. So it's a double-edged sword. You won't be able to optimize the way you want at the end of the season like we do now, but at the same time, you'll be able to do all Grandmasters day 1 as soon as they're available. Now speaking of Nightfalls, this actually takes us to the next big change. Nightfall loot rotation is also getting a rework. Originally, or at least this past season, we had a 1-1-1-3 split. However, we've been acquiring more and more loot for Nightfalls, and we're actually getting 2 new weapons this coming up season, the Comedian Shotgun and the Hothead Rocket Launcher. With that being said though, Bungie is actually going to be moving our Nightfall loot rotation to a 2-2-2-2 split. What this means is every week there will be 2 weapons in rotation that are available to obtain, and it'll be 1 old weapon with 1 newer weapon. So for instance, the Comedian and Shadow Price, or the Hothead and Hung Jury. On some levels, this kind of extends the grind for most players as there's more things in rotation. Hopefully though, Bungie will give us more double loot weeks, as we'll no longer have the option to choose a specific Nightfall at the end of the season to target grind. And now we have more loot in rotation, which is a good thing. But if we even get double loot on top of that, oh, that'll be even better. Which takes us to our next big change, guys. This is actually more gauged at the players that are just now picking up Beyond Light or just now starting to dabble in the darkness. In Season 15, the Exo Stranger will now begin to offer an easier path for unlocking aspects and fragments, meaning the pre-requirements for completing the Born in Darkness quest chain is being reduced or just outright removed. Now, I think most of us that have been playing this game day in and day out, that have bought all the expansions, we've already gone through this, so this doesn't really affect us. This is more for the guys that are new light players, that are looking to get into some stasis. This should be a little more streamlined for you, which should allow you to get the darkness even quicker. Which takes us to our final change, infinite primary ammo. That's right, we're getting infinite primary ammo. You could shoot your ace of spades or your sweet business forever and ever without ever having to worry about ammo. So guys, those are the big changes coming in Season 15. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Again, there's a lot of other changes outside of this. These are just the things you're gonna notice, the cliff notes essentially. If you're looking for a more detailed breakdown on all of these things, you can either check out every video of the previous TWABs that we've covered, which we will link below, or you could come by our Twitch and watch us test all these changes immediately after the new season goes live. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.